Hello, I'm doing a quick brief discussion about the TrickFlow top end kit. I recently put the TrickFlow heads, the 44cc combustion chamber heads on here. I'm well aware that you keep compression stock, maybe a tad bit lower with the bigger combustion chamber heads, but for my personal opinion, I wanted to keep the combustion chambers larger because it gives me a little bit more options down the road if I decide to get crazy with it. And the actual, I'm still gaining a lot of power over the stock PI heads, which are right there with those ugly exhaust manifolds and horrible valve relief. So you can run real meaty cams in here, which is my second point. With the TrickFlow heads, you are gaining really good airflow. It becomes no longer one of your bottlenecks. Your valves are flowing the way God intended, which I guess Ford intended for these two valves to flow like crap. But if you're porting your heads, you can get close to what these TrickFlow heads can flow, but you're not going to have the same quality, longevity, reliability. The ported heads are going to run into a problem way before these would. So that is, it's just like it's basically like if Ford made these stock heads good, basically. I have the stock manifold because the PI manifold is fine. I don't really want to spend $1,800 on an intake manifold to get an extra 6 wheel horsepower. I spent enough money on heads. I'm not really worried about that. The current goal is just to have a fun all-motor street car that sounds amazing, and if you're a 2-valve fan like me, they look amazing. So you can make about the same amount of horsepower to the wheels as you would on a low PSI boosted setup with these two valves if you're going with the TrickFlow heads, and especially if you're putting in a large meaty cam in there. I have the stage 2 cam, which is 276 with 5800s lift. It's a big cam and a street car. I went to get a custom grind cam, but I got a good deal on using the big cams, and I have the stage 1 cams actually over there too from TrickFlow because I like cams. I'm like messing around with them. So that's the other thing you get when you put the TrickFlow heads. You get the valve relief to allow for big cams, which means if you spin it really high at higher RPMs, you are flowing very, very, very well, and you will make mid to low 300s to the wheel with a very cool linear all-motor power band, which I think is super fun. That being said, you will be faster if you just boost one, because these make their power high in the RPMs. Your bottom end will probably not like it. It'll probably like it more than I think it would probably like going to 7,000 more than it would, if you start over boosting it and spin a rod. But I've only done that in a 2-valve, boosting it with a Vortec and going too high and being greedy. So with these all motors, you can just keep them cool as a cucumber driving around on the street. Now, does it cost more per horsepower? Absolutely. If you just want to make a 2-valve be relatively fast for, I guess, relatively cheap, with things going up in price, get a boost. Get a head unit to just boost these. Vortec I use Vortec, nice and cheap. Less so for a Pro Charger, but there's still bang for your buck, probably pretty good. That being said, if you are a fan of 2-valves, you enjoy them, you think they look amazing, this back end, I just love that line. The way they sound is incredible. These old modular V8s, I personally think sound as good as anything. Some of those old push rods are pretty awesome, but these sound amazing. Coyotes, they're great motors. They don't sound the same. They don't. Especially with an H pipe on these. X pipes are great. You're loud. You make a little bit more power. It's minimal, but they're a little bit louder, just loud and raspy, and they start kind of getting into the sound that I don't love. With these heads, big cams, H pipe, It just sounds faster than it is, but it just sounds amazing, and it is a quick car. Like, this is a quick car. If you make 330 wheel horsepower in a car that weighs 3,300 pounds with 373s in the rear, you're gonna have a quick car. It's gonna beat some stuff. I mean, it'll hurt some feelings, but you aren't getting it because it's fast. You're getting it because it's fun. They look great, especially when I get it painted. We have a Cobra bumper on there. We're gonna replace the hood, and we're gonna paint it, probably black, just because I like black cars. I got this to have fun with, just kind of do what I want to do, making the car that I would have loved as a kid, because these are the cars that I grew up with. I would see around, be like, that's a cool car, and they do run better than their numbers would suggest. They hook well. These things are great from a dig. I'll just say that. They're great from a dig. These things, they're just, two valves are cool. The two valve culture, I love y'all. We understand that these cars, what they have to offer is more than just a little 4.6. They offer horrible interiors that just kind of bring nostalgia back. That's my nitro cold brew cup. I guess my cat knocked it over. But these 5 speeds with the horrible forward positioning up front where you're knocking everything over. Ignore my dirty interior. I just got back from doing all sorts of work with this thing, but I'll clean it up and paint it, and of course I just threw on my Deatschwerks. Oh yeah, I did put an amazing Deatschwerks fuel system in that is E85 ready if I do so choose, but I just like Deatschwerks. They make good stuff. It's future built. I'm future proofing. I got the 44cc. I got the large combustion chambers with the heads, sacrifice a little compression and all motor horsepower, but you know, it allows me to add a lot more fuel down the road because I got big Deatschwerks fuel injectors, and I got the big pump. So we are good for well into the 500 wheel, which is way more than enough for a fun street car. And I just primarily plan on making this a fun street car because, I don't know, you start going to the strip and then you start breaking stuff. And I have another expensive hobby. So gotta limit how much I spend on each hobby. So let's just keep it to the street for now and see what kind of cool car we can make. And if you guys want to follow the build, I mean, I kind of already jumped in with a whole top end redone with big old cams, although I still have to do some tuning on it. It is tuned, but I need to do some changes. And then we got the old heads, which I may port and throw into another junk. I don't know. We'll see. I also have small trick flow cams that I could throw into those and put those in another 2-valve and see what happens, but that costs money and time, and I currently am just gonna have fun with this. A lot of people think about the trick flow. I see lots of people talking about them. I actually have them. Thought I'd talk about it. I'm gonna throw in some clips of how it sounds. It sounds amazing. I'm not revving it out in the videos because I do have neighbors and I am not one of those guys. But you know, when I start it up and drive it to work occasionally because I love it, it's a fun car. They probably hate me as it is because it's a cammed, lopey-dopey 2-valve, which if you like lopes, you'll probably like the way this sounds, and I will put all the mods in the description so that you can kind of have an idea of what things are going to sound like. Yes, you can make these sound amazing with a catted mid-pipe. I have a catted mid-pipe for that reason. I don't want to murder everyone around me. Well, I don't want everyone around me to murder me, but it's still insanely loud. It will pass missions, I guess. It's got long tubes, so it's kind of hit or miss. But I'm in Tennessee. We don't have to worry about that. So here's some clips: a cold start and a couple of a cold idle and a warm idle. So appreciate it. Enjoy.